Hello everybody and welcome back to KXP. So as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, today we've got a space plane episode going. I'm so excited to get into it. So I'm just going to hop into the VAB real fast. We're going to show you what we're dealing with, and we're going to get into the mission. So this took quite a lot of building, a lot of trial and error. As you see, it's named the Space Plane 5 because we had to go through several iterations of it. The whole point of this plane is to actually, as I open the bays here, this is going to be a ScanSat plane. We have these hinged pieces. So, facing the wrong way. There we go. We've got this hinged telescope here that should give us some altimetry data, biome data, resource data, basically anything you can think of that ScanSat provides. As well as anomalies, because we want to be searching for anomalies when we head out into interplanetary space, because there's probably got to be some pretty cool stuff here. We also have the biggest, beefiest communication satellite dish that we could possibly get on here. It's got a little antenna feed on the inside of that cargo bay. And so it also has, as you can see there, a spot for ore with a convertitron. There are a couple hidden drill-o-matics in here, but they're not going to be utilized in today's episode, so I'm not going to focus on showing you that, but you'll be seeing those soon enough. I do need to adjust some of the action groups here, but we are basically ready to go. The engines are from the Near Future mod. They are air-breathing nuclear power. The air intakes there as well can handle water and the toxic gases of Joule, so it'll be perfect for this ship. Speaking of which, we've got flags for every single one of Joule and its moons. Unfortunately, I'm missing Pole. It's missing from the mod. I don't know if that's missing from my files and I just forgot to upload it, or if it is missing from my computer entirely, but we'll have to figure that out and fix that. But for now, there is no Pole flag, unfortunately. So, with everything else out of the way, we've got a new crew. Not a single one of them have any experience in space flight at all. So it'll be good. It'll be interesting to see how they handle this new challenge. Alright, let's go. So this behemoth sits on the runway. Thankfully, we are in KXP, which means that we're in the original KSC ground. So we have the full runway at our disposal. And when dealing with space planes, and particularly SSTOs in general, having the max amount of runway to build up as much speed as possible is the ideal conditions. Say goodbye to our fully upgraded KSC. Right into the rain. A little dangerous because we're not paying attention to where we're going. This plane always likes to veer off to the side of the runway. It's actually too eager to get into space. We didn't need that much distance. Typically it goes off on the right hand side, so it was very interesting to see it veer left. The only time out of all of our experiments it veered left. But nonetheless, we are easily airborne and fairly stable. I really like this design, and I'm kind of excited to pursue it a little bit more in the future, possibly even make it bigger. Hopefully I can continue to keep the stability of it, but nonetheless, pretty good. Those side tanks are actually empty. If I were to have fuel in them, this wouldn't be fast enough to achieve its goal. It'd be too heavy. And so the idea is that we're actually taking off and getting into space with less fuel than we have the capacity for. But like I mentioned, it's got some drill-o-matics and a convertitron in space for ore and all that. So the idea is that this plane should be self-sufficient. If it can get to space on its own, if it needs fuel, we can always send a refueling craft up there, or if it can get itself to min-miss, it can land somewhere, drill up some more fuel, and then get ready to head out to Joule and its moons. And then when it gets there, it can actually land on some of the moons of Joule and do the same exact thing, just refuel itself. The only time it's going to matter whether or not it's heavy enough to escape the atmosphere is on Lathe, where that's the only place where it has the atmosphere. We will have to be careful taking this into Joule. I do think we should at least attempt having a crew report within Joule's atmosphere. I think that'd be pretty fun. But anyways, we are now achieving such high speed that I feel comfortable pointing ourselves up. We do lose a lot of that speed as we bleed through our turn. However, it gives us the ability to have enough speed to start heading upwards. Look at that cloud system, or that storm system over there off to the distance. That would have been fun to fly through. But anyways, we're picking up more speed now because that's just how these engines seem to have been working. These are probably the second most advanced engines that we have, but I had a lot more luck with these ones than the most advanced. So this is what we went with. As you see here, we are getting close to breaking the Kármán line. Our apoapsis is 60. Well, our apoapsis is getting close to breaking the Kármán line. We're not yet. We're still rocketing through that thick part. But now our apoapsis is at 80 kilometers, so we can actually kill our throttle now. Plot in our maneuver for our circularization burn. And then there we go. As we see here, we have red on our burn time because it says that we're actually going to run out of fuel before we can complete this burn, but that's only because it's calculating while we're still in the atmosphere. Once we hit the 70 kilometers of space, that number will change. So the eagle-eyed among you may have noticed something a little strange, and that's that blinking text at the top in yellow where it says simulation active, and over there in the top left that says sim cost 0. Yeah, longtime viewers of my channel know that I don't typically show the simulation. If I'm, showing something in an episode, it's, actually for real. There's no, reverts or anything like that. We live with our consequences. And so you're asking yourself, well, why would I be showing this? And honestly, this entire mission went without me noticing that it was a simulation. All the way to the end when I was getting ready to save and quit and the recording and all that, and then I realized it said restart simulation or terminate simulation, and so the entire time I was thinking that this is for real. In my brain, everything that happened in this episode, real stakes, if something went wrong, Kerbals died or whatever, then we'd have to live with that consequences. So as we go forward and you see that simulation active up at the top, just know that I didn't, and I'm thinking that whatever we do here, we're gonna have to live with. But yeah, those plumes are pink, and that is because these engines are nuclear fuel, and what that means is that they don't need oxidizer to work in space, allowing our space plane to only carry liquid fuel. It does have some spot for oxidizer, and I think there may be a little in one of the tanks just in case we needed it, but yeah, with that, we are now in space. We have successfully made an SSTO, single stage to space, and somehow we broke off our antenna right down there. I'm not sure how that happened, and that's actually important because without that big circular antenna dish is not going to work. I open up the bay there to see if it was just a glitch and just showing us wrong and the antenna actually wasn't there, but nope, it actually had broken off, and that's no good because then that, it's wasted space, it's wasted weight, and we need to be able to transmit our findings. So I play around with the idea very briefly of getting our engineer out on EVA, and I tried very hard to, but I thought maybe I could go catch that and bring it back and reinstall it, and we can get on our merry little way towards the next step. We actually wouldn't be going anywhere. We only have 137 meters per second delta V. The next step right now would be to send up a refueling craft. But then I thought about it, I'm like, well, we're missing a piece. We got to space. That's a pretty good proof of concept. We can just, go fix our craft, come back up again. So I'm like, okay, well, we made a successful SSTO. Let's test its reentry capability. Yeah, it's a good idea. And again, I'm thinking that this is you know, for real, this is real stakes and everything, which is why I didn't just like, oh, craft broke, so let's, you know, revert to flight and or revert to launch, revert to VAB. I wasn't in that kind of mindset, so my mindset was, well, how do we get these Kerbals home? Let's land them. So we are going to deorbit on the other side and make an attempt to land back at the KSC, because I think that would be the excellent, the most reasonable proof of concept that we can safely control an SSTO spaceplane, and precision landing is one of those aspects. We are going to be taking this, like I mentioned, to every single one of Joule's moons. There is such a long distance between the travel time to get the Kerbals there, so we are... I wasn't intending to do a Joule 5, but, I mean, if we have Kerbals out there, we're already near in the area. We have a craft that can refuel itself and, you know, have it... have the Kerbals live and last on there, and it can fly in atmosphere, so that means that we can actually take it to Lathe as well, and not only land but take off, and, well, you know, that's the important part. But we can hit every single one of the moons. We can plant a flag, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do it all in a singular episode. I think it's actually going to be a multi-part aspect for that. It's just the easiest way to show the most detail, but we will be well on our way at I wouldn't even say sneaking ahead, kind of racing ahead in the Janus Project space race compared to POV. They have yet to get to any of the interplanetary places, whereas we've actually been able to throw something there, so it will be a pretty big benefit if we can get this mission correctly. I am going to share this plane design with the POV crowd. They're going to have to update the cabins and cockpits to fit their first-person view mentality, but nonetheless, we are going to use the same design for the space plane, because, you know, this took me so long to build, and honestly, if I had to build it again, it would probably look pretty similar, because I just don't know how else to do it well. However, we are going to give them the challenge of trying to make it into a VTOL, which is a vertical takeoff and landing airplane. I want to thank all those people who came out to the live stream where I was testing how to do a VTOL. It gave me a lot of tips, and I'm very excited to apply them onto this craft and take this one to Eve. Or that one to Eve anyways. But this should be able to handle atmospheric flight on Eve, so as long as everything goes correctly, both of our playthroughs, Monday and Friday, will be well on our way to be going interplanetary soon. But I am getting ahead of myself, because we do need to bring these Kerbals back. They have a broken ship at the moment, and we can't take them to Joule until we fix that. But we can't take them to Joule, and we can't fix that until we get them back alive. And with that, the heating starts to dissipate, making me feel a lot more comfortable. However, we have absolutely no control out of our descent. I go to try to reactivate my engines, forgetting that they're not actually deactivated, they're just throttled down, and in doing so, I hit my spacebar and stage my parachutes. So this is no good. I didn't want to just parachute land into the water. I mean, we can do that anytime we'd like. We've done that so many times, you know, in this series. I want to land on the runway intentionally, so I have to go and manually cut all of these chutes, because this is not intended, and it's a little unfortunate because it's very hard. And the thing is now we have cut so many chutes that this is actually not going to be a very safe landing if we can't handle this in time, because we're definitely not going to slow down in time. Definitely need to figure out a better situation. I kind of wish I could unstage those chutes, but nonetheless, we only have one left. We just need to activate it. We turn our engines on to hopefully get a little bit more control. We do have a little more surface control area now that we're down low enough, but we fell all the way to 2,000 meters and managed to pull ourselves out of our stall and regain a little bit of control. There we are. So we do have to flip around 180 degrees, but nonetheless, this is actually a very maneuverable plane. We only drop down to about 200 meters per second as we pull our fastest turn. We do almost break the limit of our G-forces, which is no good. I do believe, I will have to check in the mod list, but I do believe we have the mod Watch Your G-forces, made by a friend of the channel, Kargut. I highly recommend that mod. It is very, if you like realism, that's the thing. If you like realism, if you like fun challenges, if you like the aspects of you know, planes dealing with G-forces, the Watch Your G-forces is pretty good. It's a very good add-on. But thankfully, you know, none of the Kerbals blacked out, none of them died. I time warped, or physics warped, I should say, forward a little bit, and then I saw that I was starting to dip down, so I tapped the W key, which is why we rocketed upwards. But then I thought about it, I'm like, you know, we could probably climb to about 4,000, 5,000 meters and just kind of cruise there. We don't need to build up as much speed, so we don't really need to hug the ocean. So we're going to just kind of cruise here around 5,000, 6,000 meters. And we actually have to lower our throttle because as you see here, we're still, like, even at half throttle, we were gaining speed, gaining heat. You know, we're not trying to get back into orbit. We're just trying to, you know, get ourselves back home. And the funny part is right now I'm paying attention to my heading. I'm paying attention to the ETA right there at the top. And I have the ability of seeing simulation active, but my brain just did not register. And so this entire time I'm thinking, all right, we're doing this, you know, win or lose. If we crash the whole plane and kill everybody, that is a horrible accident, and we'll have to, you know, film a memorial service. We'll get the last 4 Kerbals out, and, you know, then we're gonna be like, well, you guys have to go next, and you know, nobody likes that. But yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things. That's the mindset that I have when I play. Typically, when I play for real. So even in this, even though it is a simulation, I'm treating it with the utmost of sincerity. So now we have to cross over to the other side of the continent, but this is actually a very fast plane, so it doesn't take long at all. We tilt ourselves a little bit to get to the KSC. We were pointed at the island runway before. But yeah, I really like this plane design. It unfortunately does need those big engines on the wings. I don't love that, but you know, it works, and you know, if it works, then it's not stupid. So, but you know, I've never built an SSTO, like not even just on my channel. I've never built an SSTO, but in my Kerbal career, I've never been able to get a plane up into orbit without any kind of like rocket assistance. Typically on my channel, when we deal with space planes, because I've done, you know, space planes that are a plane for re-entry purposes, but yeah, I just like these engines. I tack, you know, 2 liquid fuel rockets onto the wingtips of that with some decouplers and take it off into space. But this was very fun to have just a singular design. Just the whole thing can be reused. We don't have to drop off any part of it, and we don't even have to launch it like a rocket. We can launch it like a plane. It's fun flying over these mountains now that I've done the around the world trip where I visited every single POI. It's fun to know that there's actually an anomaly in there. A little hard to get to, so planes and helicopters are your best bet, but I did stall out a little bit as I tried to push forward, lost control, but you know, once again, this is very maneuverable, very interesting. I did need to throw a little bit more RCS blocks on there, particularly on the wingtips. I think that will be helpful. So it is good to bring the plane back because that was a design flaw that I had never noticed in all of my testing until the actual mission itself. And so it's good to see. But we are now in the home stretch. All we need to do is cross the land until we see the KSC. And this is the goal. Like, if I can perfect landing this plane specifically where I want to, we'll be able to take these to, you know, anomalies on different moons and planets and stuff. We'll be able to land specifically or generally where we want, and then be able to get ourselves exactly where we want. So I think that this episode right here is a breakthrough for our series, breakthrough for myself as a player, really. And I'm excited to see where we take this technology. Like I mentioned before, it's been my goal to land on every single celestial body, plant a flag. And I've had that goal for a while now. I was one of those players that never left Minmus or the Mun. Never went interplanetary, ended up always restarting my series before I got the chance. And then I did Escaping Kerbin, where I got to land on Duna, landed a probe on Duna. That was a lot of fun. I calculated that like I had successfully escaped Kerbin. That was fun, so I decided to create the first season of KXP, Kerbal Exploration Program, where that was the goal, was to plant a flag on every celestial body. But unfortunately, that series also ended a little earlier, which gave way for the Janus Project, and that is where we are today. So it's very exciting because this is the closest I've ever been to that goal. You know, the very first KSP YouTuber I watched, that was their series goal, was to land on every planet, and they canceled early as well. But it always inspired me, and that's it. Honestly, that's why I wanted to start playing Kerbal, was because of that YouTuber. So it's a little bit of an homage to them as well. But as we approach the runway, I'm feeling a lot more confident. But again, we are going to take it as it comes. If we explode and crash and burn, then so be it. Obviously, it's only a simulation, so I would be very thankful to know that those Kerbals wouldn't be fully dead, but I would accept it. So, brakes fully on, engines completely off, nothing else left to do but hopefully trust in Ropon's piloting skills. They decide to show off a little bit and throw in a little drift at the end of the maneuver, but thankfully they managed to get a hold of the controls and bring it to a safe stop, leaving all three Kerbals alive and intact. A little shooken up, but nonetheless home. And with that, we are going to bring this craft back in. This is about when I realized that it is all simulation. None of it was real. It was all a dream. But in the next episode, between next episode, I'm going to get this back up into the sky for real. So the next episode, we're going to start off with refueling it with a craft, and then we're going to send it off to Jewel. In the next episode, that is going to be the goal, is the interplanetary mission of the space plane, to bring it out there and hopefully find a way of stopping it. But anyways, that is where I'm going to leave today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're looking forward for more KXP. If you did, think about subscribing. Drop me a like, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.